Don't worry, we're not live yet.
Okay.
To show we're not live yet, penis.
Oh.
Don't you dare. Blow up my fucking channel.
What kind of channel is this?
Ah, jeez. Man. Anyway, so yes, I actually had inspiration and thoughts because Tori came up with a new video, and I wanted her to be on because she put out a new video recently, which I would say everyone should check out. But since like everyone here is like following Tori, let's be fair, Tori's got more. Tori's got a lot more subscribers than I do. Yeah, most people who's going to be watching this have already seen Tori's new video, so basically, just in case, go check it out. I did just rewatch it, so hopefully that counts as another view.
I think it does. Yay!
But
for reference, which specific video is it?
The journal one.
Yes.
My new DM journal. Okay, yeah, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh shit, I missed that.
But the first thing I wanted to bring up with this one, because, well, it's kind of the first one that catches my attention on that video, is your realization that you run adventures and not a campaign.
I mean, I don't know if realization is the right word. I've been doing that intentionally for a while now. But it was the realization that doing so meant that there was a lack of, or there was a certain amount of blandness. There was a sort of missing element of like, okay, but what makes this world? By making my world too open and too free for, being able to kind of do whatever we want, it meant it was also lackluster in any kind of unifying theme. If that makes sense.
Were you saying more to that?
I mean that no.
No. Okay. All right. Well, so it wasn't any kind of critique on you, but it kind of got my mind going as to, like, we're all DMs here. We all have run games rather. So like when comparing, adventures, a series of adventures compared to a campaign, what do you prefer? Game Masters, if you want to start, since you haven't said much yet.
I mean, my world, and I mean, this is going to be a pretty interesting topic, I think, and I am very excited to hear exactly how Tori, approaches it. But for me, when I started out, of course, it was adventures, and it was primarily pre-made adventures. But then, we quickly started tweaking things because, and you had to back then, because your characters, they were the same characters from adventure to adventure. And they had items and weapons and stuff that could have literally broken that adventure. So we had to tweak the adventure just to keep it challenging enough for them. Eventually, we started having like common NPCs that would not necessarily travel with them, but go from one adventure to another. And then eventually it was like, well, hell, I'm just going to create my own world, using kind of Forgotten Realms as the basis, but I kind of created my own world. And that's where the sandboxing started to happen for us. So I guess, I mean, I am personally a fan of the sandbox approach. I mean, but that's only because I've had, 30, 40 something years worth of experience of building my own world. So there's not really any corners of it that I don't know. There's certainly areas that the players have never gone to, because I've never, we just haven't gone out that way to explore it. But it's not difficult for me now because, like I said, 30, 40 years worth of that world knowledge in my brain to figure out, what I can put in that area that they go to explore. So I guess that's kind of what I'm looking to see, from Tori, how she approaches, the singular adventure.
Okay. Just delete there. Okay. See, my whole thing is pretty different for a multitude of reasons, or maybe not. Maybe it's not that different. I don't know. But for starters, I never played. I had one part of a combat encounter that one person ran for me. It was literally just me and him, and that was my. This is this game called D&D. If you like that, you should check this out. And I was a ranger with a dire wolf animal companion, and we fought some things, and then I immediately turned around, grabbed a notebook, and started writing. And I've been a DM pretty exclusively ever since. And then I basically started writing first and then thought oh, I could do this. I get these mechanics. I can run this. And then I got a couple of girls together and we started a group that was in 3.5. And so there was no, I didn't go on YouTube and look up how to DM. I didn't read the DMG. I didn't have any DMs around me. And the other thing is that I have this, most of my groups don't last that long. So you talk about going from adventure to adventure to adventure. I don't have that because we get or at least for there's 3 main groups where that's not the case. But for the rest of it, it was 3 sessions in and then it's hey, are we meeting this week? Oh, I can't make it. Oh, okay. Next week. Hey, are we meeting this week? Oh, yeah, I can't make it. Yeah, I'm canceling too. Okay, next week. All right, guys, this is the 3rd time in the row where I'm kind of dissolving the group at this point. Or I had the very first sort of quote campaign that I ran. I think it was a campaign. I sort of had an overarching goal that they were working towards, but there was a lot of meandering. It's probably my best one. The second one, again, we didn't get that far into it, and then the group fell apart. And then I have one campaign that was a completed campaign that was, again, it was basically just one overarching goal, and then every session was an episode getting closer and closer to that. But that particular group is very they don't act with a lot of agency. When they show up to the table, they're very much the people that I swing my sword, they roll the dice, I dealt this much damage. Okay, it's taken this much damage. All right, guys. All right. So what did we find out? Oh yeah, the quest said we need to go here. Okay, we go there. That was the whole experience with that group. It was very, very dry. So there wasn't a lot of meandering and there wasn't a lot of need to accommodate for player choices because they just didn't make any. Yeah. So I don't know if it's kind of yes and no. We did a reboot a little bit later where I decided, screw that. I'm not doing campaigns anymore. I'm only doing episode by episode. Because we were getting a kind of campaign fatigue. We were only 2 sessions in, but there was already this feeling oh, I don't like this world anymore. And I thought, well, if I do only adventures and not a whole campaign planned out, then I can't get tired of running it because I got bored of running it. There was just no variety. It was anyways. And so that when I started that, it turned into every week was a little bit different, but there was no connection. Stuff they found in the first episode never showed up in the second, like never showed up again. And that is equally boring in its own way. So that's when I'm trying to like center back down to like, okay, still having a theme, still having like an overarching arc of some kind, but not making it like, okay, we're stuck in this one theme or idea for too hard for too long.
Right.
So, hi, Sax.
Hello.
Hi, sorry.
The question to the group, this is all inspired by Tori's latest video. So, basically, the current question to the group was adventures versus campaigns. Like, which ones do you go with? What's preferred? You know, what has been more successful, etc., etc. So,
fair enough. So my understanding of that is that, you know, campaigns being more long-term, multiple sessions, building up to things, and adventures then being more towards like one shots, a few sessions, basically broken down where it's like short and snappy. That's my understanding of the definition. Yeah. I do campaigns. Doing one shots or mini adventures really isn't something I do very well. I often go towards, you know, I want to do grand adventures, I want to do legendary stuff, I want the players to be invested. I mean, I've also gone down the route of, again, it's going to sound brutal, but if the players can't commit, you will be replaced. Because at the end of I do primarily online games. So I don't run into the problem of, oh, I can't get players. It's like, no, I can get players. I can get loads of them. It's not a problem. I can put on to Roll20 right now, and I'll get a group together overnight. Because I'll say, I'm the DM. Here's the game I'm running. Do you want to be in? And I don't have the, again, I'm going to use Roll20 for that. I don't have the usual criteria of give me your CV and your experience. It's like, no, do you want to play this? Do you submit to these, to this theme? Good, you're in. Let's go. And then I roll from there. But then, I've at the moment, I've only got one real life group that I play with, and they all came in on the premise of we're going to play D&D. I've made it clear to them we're going to run D&D my way, and I'll be transparent how that is, and hopefully we're going to have fun. And we've been going several years now.
Yeah, my first time running online was when my one DC20 video went out, and I sort of got became part of the DC20 community and actually met some people, and then I ran my first online game. So all my DMings prior to that was all in person.
Yeah.
Because I just and there's definitely like getting players is hard for me, almost impossible. So it was one of those where I couldn't afford to be that stringent about it, because otherwise I just had no game and I didn't get to play at all. And yeah.
No, I get it. But getting it's a very different crowd online versus real life. Again, real life, you're going to be struggling to find players. Again, depending on where you are geographically. And online, you will probably drown in players. But then it's a case of like, well, are you going to just let anyone in, or how are you going to go about it? Again, these are my experiences, and they're going to be different from everyone. Because I mean, I don't know.
I think it requires a certain level of confidence to DM for random people on the internet, and I didn't have that until recently.
That's fair. I mean, I've done. I started out with real life games that I began running, but then when I moved away from where I lived and I was in the Netherlands, I didn't know how to speak Dutch. I couldn't find people that were Dutch and were interested in games. So I was like, okay, well, I've discovered Roll20. I'm going to start there. Began rolling with games from that. Got into it, and it sort of continued. And then I got more confident about it when I went to university, because we didn't have a lot of games. There were very few DMs and a lot of players. So I put myself forward and said, listen, I'm our DM. I'm not the most honed DM, but if you want a game, I'll take you in. And one of my starting groups was like 8 to 10 players. I was like, well, we're gonna roll with it, and it sort of just went from there. I was, I just became confident in what to do and how to read the rules because I knew the rules. I'm a munchkin. I read those rules to abuse them. I wanted the DM to be crying at the end of the session. So I was prepared for that. So then with that, the confidence build up, I found who I am as a DM, and from there I just went, well, this is what I'm good at, and I have fun that way. So I'll advertise myself. Go on.
I approach each session, doesn't matter if it's a full-on campaign or an adventure, with this. And I've always said this. I've been saying this since the mid-90s. I'm the DM. Rules may change. Yes, there may be a rule in the book that contradicts how I have ruled it. Again, I'm the DM. If I say that a 10-inch schlong grows out of your forehead, a 10-inch schlong will grow out of your forehead. That said, in my entire history of running games, I've never had to pull out a 10-inch schlong grows out of your forehead. That's never actually happened. But that's solidly been my approach, is Saxius, like what you're saying. I mean, this is my game, and these are the parameters of it. If you don't like that, then there is another table you can go play at. Yeah. There's another group that you can find to play with. But yeah, I mean, at my table, it's pretty much my rules.
No. And it's good to be forward about these things. In my experience, I have had to pull out the 10-inch schlong from your forehead. Thankfully, only within a single hand amount of times. But it's still been enough cases where I've had the bad kind of rule lawyers. They'll sit there and argue with me. And I go, well, I'm the DM. I was like, but you're now breaking the system. Like, well, listen, if this is how this is going to be going, let's cut to the chase. Either you're going to understand that I'm running this and I've got my reasons, and we can argue about the reasons behind the game when we're not doing it, or you can reconsider whether this is a game for you. It's gotten to the point where I find it's easier for me to put out, this is what my games are like, this is what my style is like, because I can, if someone's mature enough to understand, to say like, oh, but that's not what I want, it's like, great, then don't come into my game. Because I've actually had a player who said, well, how do you handle when other players are not in the session? How do you keep the immersion going? I go, well, I don't. The player isn't there. They're not there. Their character's not going to be interacting. And he went, that breaks my immersion. I'm like, well, then don't play with me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like, listen, I have much more on my plate to worry about than your immersion. If you can get immersed by engaging into the world, that's a you problem, and that's not for me to fix.
That's one of the comments on, it wasn't my video, it was someone else's video. And we're talking about the Daggerheart combat, and I commented, and they responded to my comment because I mentioned the aforementioned, players that like, oh, I attack with my sword, they roll dice, that's their entire turn. And someone replied to my comment and said something along the lines of, if your players it was about players tuning out in between turns. And they said, if your players tune out in between their turns, that's a DM problem. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
I have a player who tunes out. And he understands that he tunes out. And he is given the TLDR whenever he zones back in. I'm not going to give him the details. That's for him to go and gather now. That's for him to go and, pick up on. So let's make that quiet. But yeah, like for that situation, the player knows, listen, if you're tuning out and he knows he's tuning out, I keep on moving. I'm not going to slow down to then reiterate everything.
Yeah, and I mean, and everybody has, shit happening in their lives that, I mean, I even running the game, I haven't always been like immediately present because, either I've had a bad day at work and that's carried home with me, or, I in the middle of a session, I get a hey, Dad, I got a flat tire. Well, shit. I mean, shit happens. So no, it's good that you give the too long didn't read, and don't just kick them out, because I mean, that's being an understanding DM. Nothing wrong with that.
But I would
go on.
I would say, but I would say that is not strictly a DM problem, at least the way this commenter implied it. Like,
right.
I mean, yes, stuff happens and you have some degree of grace, but I would argue that there's some responsibility on the players to show up to the table if they're going to be there.
It's the players' responsibilities to know their character. If you show up and ask questions about your own spells, your own abilities, I'm going to look at you and go, well, you've got the book, don't you? Go and read. You are literate, right? You can read and write. You've passed high school. I was like, so those are some of the things where I will hit down like a hammer and be like, well, that's a you problem. I've got in my real life group, I actually I have a player. He doesn't own any of the books. He hasn't read any of the books. He shows up and sometimes he forgets what is a D20. I've made it abundantly clear. I am not slowing down the game. You've been in my game for years. You know at this point, you should know what the difference is between a D10, a D20, and a D8. And if you take too long figuring out which is which, your turn is going to be skipped. I am going to be brutal now. This is how it is. Keep up. So he sits and he arranges his dice out so that he's ready. So when I say, okay, do your attack, he quickly picks it up and he knows what to roll. And he'll tell me the die number. And I'm like, is that the total? He'll quickly check his character sheets. And he's now started highlighting where he needs to look for certain things. So he's had to simplify it just for him. Because he doesn't own the books. He doesn't have an interest in reading the rules. He just wants to show up, roll dice, and be told an awesome story. I can give him that. That's the investment he wants to give in. Cool. But I'm not going to go beyond that.
Yeah. There's a middle ground. There's a middle ground you can come to.
We've got a dyslexic player in the 3.5 game. He highlights each section that's like connected to the other bits.
Yep.
So that he knows color. Those are what I need for this. Color. Those are what I need for that, etc. That just reminded me of that. I think it's cool that people tend to do that.
No, that's fair enough. There's an interesting comment from Robert Gray where they say, they do believe it is the DM's problem because they control who is in the group. And I think that is a good point. The DM is the arbiter. They are the gatekeeper of who is in the group and whatnot. So I'm just going to use my group as an example. And again, this is not to put a bad spotlight on Robert Gray. I think it's a good point to highlight. The player that I have that zones out, he contributes really well. Again, to give the player some credit, when he has to go and do something, he goes and does that, and he contributes to the group. Fantastic. And from there, they're still working within the as a team. They're still working together for that. Again, I've been transparent with that player and explained, this happens. That. Here's how we're dealing with it, and it's something that the entire group has accepted, and they're working within that, and they're happy. Like on that note, that's fine. Other notes, I've also had situations where I didn't gel with players, or other players didn't gel with the other group. At that point, I've had to then make the calls of, I need to take someone out. So someone has to be removed from the group at that point. And that's, but you're only going to, how would you put it? I know I often tell people I do interviews. Like I sit down with someone, we have a one-on-one talk, and I try to be as transparent about what am I like as a person, what am I like as a DM. Is this going to be rubbing you the wrong way? Because it would bother me to know that I've made someone waste time of their life to be in something that they don't enjoy. So that's why I'm very upfront about what do I do, how do I make my rulings, how do I run my games, because I want people to come in and have fun. Now, again, that's what I do. I didn't do that initially. I used to just sort of go, open the floodgates, let everyone in. We'll see what happens, and that you're gonna have all sorts of horrible people that should never meet. Sit there and you go, well, okay, you need to understand certain personalities do not mesh well. So that's why I've got certain players and friends that I will never put together in a group, because you put those two together, it's like oil and fire. It is just not gonna go well.
So in that regard, I mean, kind of what Goth was saying is, it is a DM's problem from a certain point of view. I mean, or let me rephrase. I wouldn't necessarily consider that a problem, but DM's prerogative. I'll label it as that, DM's prerogative. But I think too, there is a lot of responsibility on the player, because ultimately they have to decide what's best for them. Are they having fun? If so, stay. Are they not? Then go somewhere else. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people have a very difficult time defining that, or am I having fun? I don't know how to define that. And I think a lot of people suffer from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because like when he says it's a DM problem, it's kind of like, yeah, like that's the DM's problem because the DM can decide to kick the person. Like, okay, yeah, because you could do that. In my case, it would mean there is no group, there is no play, I would just shut the whole thing down.
Right.
1 and 2, I think that taking that mental approach too much, I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm just saying if you take it because again, I'm thinking about the context of that particular comment that I read. And the context was, if your players are not paying attention in the game, that's your fault as a DM. You're too boring, basically, is what he was kind of getting at. I'd have to go back and read the quote to double check that. But that was the impression that I got from it, is that he was saying it's a DM's problem if your players aren't engaged. And I feel like that's a cop out on the side of the player. I feel like that's because I don't know if you guys experienced this. I don't know if this was a thing back in the days of AD&D the way it is now, but I have heard on a lot of different channels, so I'm guessing that this is a more widespread problem. Either that or we can just communicate more now with each other, but the concept of players showing up to the table, kind of like the one player that Saxius described, but like even worse, where they're not willing to do anything. I mean, they literally show up to the table and just expect the DM to like be the whole experience for them. They don't ever read the book. They show up session after session after session, even after they're new. And just because I've heard the other channels talking about these kinds of players.
They do exist. You do have the players that will show up where for them being a part of the event. Again, there are different ways this can be interpreted. So let's go with the good version. The good version is that they show up and they're like, "Oh, this is really cool. I roll the dice. I sit there. I observe. I'm a part of something that's really awesome. I'm enjoying it. I don't want to engage because this is really cool." Like they're like it's as though a person who watches things like Critical Role or any of the other Let's Plays, they now get to sit there. They want to get that experience. They want to be a part of it, and then they'll roll when they're told to. But they kind of want to see things just play out, because for them it's like a live theater thing. It's really good entertainment, and they're enjoying it, and they don't want to step in and model things out, model things up. So that's one way you can interpret it, and the other way is, I'm here. Feed me entertainment.
Maybe that's because that's been more the experience that I've gotten.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective, I don't know, I guess I have a unique view on it, because I've seen how that all has developed over the years. Back when I started playing, of course, I was 9, 10, 11 years old. And this was, would have been 87, 88, 1987, 1988. And back then, I mean, you didn't have a huge pool of people that you could pick from. It was, it was the nerds in the class that found this game and was like, "Hey, let's check this out." We were friends to begin with, and anybody that was interested in playing the game, well, we were already friends with, and there weren't very many of us that, we were nerds, we were outcasts. We didn't have a lot of friends outside of our core little group of 6 people or 7 people. And then as we grew going into the early 90s, it didn't matter if we were congruent with the rules. We were friends first, and then we're playing. So, and I kind of at that point kind of became elected the forever DM, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I came up with that, you know, the whole 10-inch long thing, because I'll be honest with you, I mean, when I first started playing, I didn't have a firm grasp of the rules. I mean, you know, I had the book in front of me, but I mean, I was winging it. We didn't have references or, you know, videos that we could go watch. We had the old smelly guy that worked at the comic shop who had kind of played it. We had an older brother that played it, that we could go ask questions from, but their responses were usually just go read the fucking book. Okay. I mean, we've done that, but I still need help interpreting it. So we were left to our own devices to interpret things. Fast forward into the 90s and late 90s, and I started working at a game store. Well, that was my first exposure of, oh, you mean there really are other people out there playing this game? And then we started, you know, inviting other people into our system and playing, or into our game and playing. And then, of course, you know, into the 2000s, and up until where we're at now, I mean, the game has just morphed how you approach it, how you sit down, how you find other players. It's vastly different than what it was way back then. Yeah, we didn't have online games back then.
I just want to say, I love how you had the smelly guy at the game store. We had the grumpy woman at the game store who didn't seem to like her job.
Oh, this guy loved it. I mean, he would, you know, I mean, he would crack open the books. He'd let us read through them to see if we liked them. I mean, he would do this for the modules. You know, they usually show up in shrink wrap. And he would, yeah, he'd crack those open. It was a comic shop that also sold D&D books. And on occasion, he would hand us over the Playboys too. But that's a completely different story.
You guys had you guys at game stores. Wow. Look at you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this quickly blew up into covering like two more of the topics I was going to bring up. So I'm going to shift it to the next part of the video that I wanted to discuss. Basically, what have we learned as GMs? And in that regard, like for example, talking with Tori, I've kind of learnt about like the kinds of different mindsets that younger generations bring into the game, which has helped me understand different players. And it's actually kind of helping gel with what they do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you guys have like learnt, I guess, quote unquote, recently, that's along those lines, that, you know, you've learned something because someone's brought something up and you've been like, yeah, that I'm going to try that kind of thing. So yeah.
I mean, the game's evolving. Go on.
No, go ahead, Saxus. Go ahead.
The game's evolving, like, and it's one of the things that, you know, having spent time on Yield Geeks, talking with John, engaging in, you know, when I was on Twitter, engaging with both the OSR BroSR new schools and the likes, you know, just seeing just how different the various interpretations and the expectations of what the game should be bringing out. The game is evolving, and frankly, you know, so is the taste and what we want out of it. It's reflected in the books from what we are seeing. So for me, it's very much been the case of, you know, well, that's a decision at that point, in my opinion. That's neither here nor there. I definitely see that, you know, it's okay to change my style depending on what it is that I pick up. My old school OSR mentality is not going to work for 5e. It's actually more fun for me leaning heavy into the high fantasy and high magic for 5e, because it's it's a lot more bonkers that way, and my group enjoys it. Equally, doing Pendragon and being a lot more chivalrous and being more oriented towards the story of King Arthur brings out a lot more fun for my group. So understanding that my style is not the be all end all for all games. It's okay to switch it up. That's something. It's going to sound obvious, but that's something I've learned, over the last, maybe not even 10 years, but like over the last 5 years, where I've sort of grown to understand that. You know what? It's okay to have different ways of doing it.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much my answer too. I mean, I would say 10 years ago, I was pretty closed off to the whole rest of the world, doing things the way that I had always been doing them. As recent as 5 years ago, when I really started getting into doing, videos specifically for YouTube, and by connection of that, hooking up with other creators, like Seraphis U, Axius, Tori, Bear, Gen X, DM, all of those. And I mean, that list goes on and on and on. But seeing the different play styles and how different people approach stuff has really expanded my view of what all is possible out there. I mean, I've always taken other elements from other games and incorporated them into my D&D game. But the wide library of other games out there, I mean, and I'm talking stuff like Shadow Dark, I'm talking, Morkborg, Dragon's Bane. I would never have even really known about them had it not been for, meeting people like all of us, like everybody here. I mean, I would have heard of them, but I don't think I would have been pushed to really check them out. And I mean, this is a prime example, the White Books, from Monty Cook Games. I just, I would have known about it. But Seraphis, I mean, had you and I not ever sat down and really talked about it, it never would have entered my library. And there was Indestructible Boy, Taryn, he's the one that it was a couple of his videos about Morkborg that had me, really kind of explore that one. And I mean, it's stuff like that that's like, wow, there's a huge world of games out there that I really want to check out. So, I mean, I think that I've kind of grown specifically over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting thing to think about and listen to. I would say that my journey has been like, how would I even describe this? Because I started out disconnected. So I went through a thing where I was too online. Like what you guys talk about as far as I just did it this way and that's the way we did it, until I started learning from other people. I almost started on the opposite side of that, where once I learned that there was a D&D tube, I just every hour of every day on every channel you could picture, and I'm going to do this in my game, and I'm going to do that in my game, and I'm going to try this, and I'm going to and then my most recent lesson has been like tuning all that out and watching those videos as entertainment, but that doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to put that in my game. Like pushing all of that aside and just being my own DM. And that really improved things. I will give credit to the Sly Flourish book. That transformed my games 200%. Won't look back.
Right.
I will say on that note, Tori, that while I initially got back into D&D because of like seeing like early on, because I was already on Geek and Sundry, and then catching their games live kind of got me back into playing D&D and picking up the new 5e books. However, I then kind of started pivoting back to my let's call it more natural self, and then I started trying to find like Call of Cthulhu stuff and whatnot. Because I was like, oh hey, I remember there was Call of Cthulhu back then. Surely people must still be talking about that. The book's still being made. I think I think it was still 6th edition then, and like there was nothing. And it's like, why is this all D&D? What? Call of Cthulhu was so much fun.
They dominate this space in a certain way, but how many times have you heard a YouTuber say, "Oh, I just put D&D in the title because that's what gets clicks, but what I'm really talking about today is da 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 da," or I'll mention it for D&D, but also for other games. Yeah, but it's not just you. That's the thing. It's there's lots of YouTubers who have mentioned this. So
I've only trolled that line once, and it was when I was talking about Numenera's Discovery and Destiny books, because Discovery, Destiny, Numenera, D&D. So I got to put the hashtag D&D in the title or in the tags. And
yeah, but it's you did it as a joke, but like for real, YouTubers do that and need to do that if they're of the Professor DM, Bob World Builder, Game Masters has done it. Like it's a real thing.
Yeah, that other sod that isn't here has done it.
It's makes you wonder how much of when you say, "Oh, I couldn't find anything on Call of Cthulhu, I only found D&D stuff," it makes you wonder how much of that is artificial. Is it really because no one's playing Call of Cthulhu, or it's just because YouTube titles aren't, you know what I mean? Like, is there a falsified market share presentation there, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. I think, but this does go into the whole territory of, if you're looking to expand your viewership, your baseline, and so on, you have to then chase certain hobbies that are then go to
certain keywords anyway.
Yeah, like I don't know what it's called, like SEO or something like that, or SEO, whatever that.
SEO, search engine optimization.
Yeah.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm putting pedo in the title, in the tag for my next video then. Well,
I don't know about that.
Epstein's trending right now.
Yeah, but you've also got like the CEOs who have now recently destroyed their own lives just by being caught at a Coldplay concert.
Yeah.
But just put that in there. D&D Coldplay scandal. So it's just like, oh God, what's happening now? It's just like,
oh, I would definitely watch that, and I'm surprised nobody has tried to corner that.
Oh my God, I know what to do.
D&D Coldplay scandal.
Yeah.
Except I'm going to make it for my music recommendation. My second music recommendation video. That's what I'm going to do. D&D Coldplay. Yep. Oh,
so I'm going to coin the phrase Coldplay, where you sit down and have never played with any of the people before. So it's literally a Coldplay.
Nice.
Damn it. Okay, that's going to be my next video.
There you go.
Oh.
But yeah, but like, again, bringing it back onto the topic of, where do you then start from, from what Tori was saying, getting a lot of the information from the internet. I mean, yeah, I once I became aware of that there was an entire thing for that, I tried to take and digest and see what I could learn, and it's valid. I mean, there are so many videos and channels out there that helps people get into it, and because D&D is the household name, it's usually where you're gonna start out with. And once you then want to go into the more niche things, you're gonna have to do a bit more work to find it. I mean, like my Saturday group is Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. There are a number of people that then do what's it called, let's plays of it. Not a lot, but right now, if you type that in, you are going to find more video game or CRPGs than tabletop RPGs because of the video game, which basically then saturates, and diminishes your ability to find what's relevant. So, yeah, a bit of a round thing to add in, but
since this was inspired by or whatever, since you brought up the other video, I'll point out that I actually added a page, so I'll just mention it here. So I had the cover art bits from the opening. I have a new section, which is my reference section. I figured the Arctic was. I've discovered that I'm a big fan of any kind of cover art, something like this. Like, I love having the pictures to look at. Like, a picture to me really is worth 1,000 words. It keeps my notes small. So then I have like, this is for Daggerheart, and then this is for the skills, because I can never remember damn skills. So I have to have a printout that actually shows what the skills even are, because the player will be like, oh, I want to do this, and I'm like, okay, roll and then the spinny beach ball of death starts playing. So I have a skill list, and then I have for this is the battle points for how to pick adversaries. But yeah, I added a new section. Yay!
And
go on.
Well, I was going to say on that topic, I will say that when I first started playing, and I would agree 100% that a picture is worth 1,000 words. We used a lot of that original D&D art, and now a single artist completely escapes my mind.
Larry Elmore.
Yeah, stuff like this,
Yeah.
And I mean, this is a Parkinson. I could stare at this for hours for various reasons, but just to get the inspiration from it.
Yeah.
But I found over the years, specifically when I went from 2nd edition to 3rd edition, I wanted less and less artwork. I wanted more and more information. And now bleeding into 5th edition, it's like almost, and I've said this before, it's almost like every source book that comes out is heavy on artwork. Almost to the point where they put more artwork than they do lore or information in. But I think that that's something that I kind of tend to forget is when I first started playing, again, this is back in the late 80s, that we used the artwork as inspiration. So why wouldn't the players today or the DMs today approach that in the same way? And I think that as I sit here right now, I think that my view of it is the artwork is still going to be inspirational for those. For me, it's less so because I've gone through that. I've already had my 15 years worth of looking at artwork and getting inspired by it. Now I'm looking for solid information to build whatever world it is that I'm building.
Could also be a young versus old a little bit there, just because my generation is a lot more, especially with, it's gotten more progressive over time, but like my generation is more like, give me the bullet points. I don't want to read 3 paragraphs. I want literal bullet points. I want it, if you put a orange box around the text, then I'll see that orange box of text. Like I think even I'm guilty of, like, if I just see like a wall of text, my eyes just kind of glaze over it instinctively. And I immediately look for standout, indents, bold text, that kind of stuff.
To build on that, so it's a fun little mix that I'm experiencing at the moment, because I typically work, as you said, via bullet points. I'll have titles, sub bullet points within bullet points for me to like break things down. That's because how I organize things for myself. And I've got players who like to sit and read proper in-depth details. So what I've then had to do is that I make the in-depth details first, but within that I then highlight in bold the important parts. And then you've got the people who skim read, and they'll read the bullet points, so to speak, via the bold text, and they'll be like, blah, 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 blah. they get the information. The other guys will then sit and they'll read the full amount and they'll get like the full picture and all of that. But both people, as they're reading, they both get the core points that I'm trying to get across. So it's just a fun thing that I've learned that I need to start incorporating, because that helps. Again, as you said, generationally, two very different things. But again, it's a way for me to then being able to bridge and bring out the information. Plus, I found that I've actually gone the opposite way to Brian. Is that I want more pictures.
Yeah,
I need pictures for my pictures.
I have
pictures
a
for
folder.
pictures.
I have a
See this picture
folder
here, but
in.
zoom in. There's another picture right here amongst it. It's a picception.
It's a picture within a picture.
Exactly.
I have a folder called artwork, and it's just a one folder dump of anything that I see that I like. It could be Mass Effect wallpapers, Subnautica wallpapers, stuff that like this that I've pulled out. It could be, I mean, it's just anything and everything. And this is actually like the whole picture is like actually yay big. It's pretty huge. And I've just cut out for here, but yeah.
But I've done exactly that, and I'm just gonna open up like for my sci-fi Rogue Trader game. I have a folder with 383 pictures, and that's just of characters that I could then grab and put in. I'm like, well, this is because I need that visuals. I need you to see what it is that you're dealing with. Or I then have another folder just for like the various astrological or interstellar sightings that you can have, like nebulas and so on. Because once I present that out, people can be like, "Whoa, that is beautiful." Yeah,
so,
Seraphis, please.
Yeah. So to all this, I have this to share. This is Rodney Matthews. Rodney Matthews. I don't know why I thought I got that wrong for a second. Artwork, which our original game that me and my friends did in the 90s, 2000s, basically our world was defined by his artwork and style, because I had 3 different books that had his artwork in it all throughout it, and it was so different to the kind of things that you would normally see style-wise in fantasy settings and stuff like that, that it kind of defined where we went with like magic and like, you know, I mean, just look at this 4-winged bird right here. Like, you know, it helped define the world a lot more than texts, basically. As who was it? Someone said before about the City of Brass. Cybermind. About how artwork helps, you know, the art of the City of Brass is more informing than just a paragraph of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I thoroughly think that artwork definitely does more than words in this kind of space. But
yeah, well, and that's this new thing. So this concept of having individual cover art, like an actual cover art for each group / campaign thingy, that was new when I started printing and doing all of this, but I love having it now, because now I see it and I'm like, I know that I don't need to, you know, have a name or anything. I just need this. And then like, okay, I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. I know the feel of that particular game. And then every time I go to run that particular group, I can pull that up, and there it is, you know? Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And again, go on.
I was just going to say, wow, we've already been going for almost an hour.
There's a lot to say about these things, because these are valid things. Because I know some DMs will say, you know, I prefer for the players to sit and like listen and so forth. Okay, let me turn the table on that. Are you as a DM very good with your descriptors? do you know all of the details that goes in with that? Because if you are, fantastic. Other times, I'm going to use myself for this. I just make a map because it's just easier for me to put down what I need the players to see, and then I can build it around that, and the players can interact, and I can focus about other things like other senses and what have you. Not to mention that, again, I'm going to use myself as a player. If I sit and I'm now being bombarded with a lot of information, I'm going to sit and start like writing things down. I'm going to start now taking time away from the rest of the players because I now need to drill down to make sure I get all of the details, because this is now going to be important if you want this to be important. And that means less gaming. Now, this is how my head works. It's like if I can streamline this by having a visual that means that everyone sees the same thing, great. We're all in the same picture. You can now all go and ask other specific questions that you want to investigate or do and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you're now engaging more with the game and you're interacting, you're role-playing. So that's because I see that as being the investment that I want from the players, not can you take notes?
Oh, sorry.
Again, this is what I define as being the mathematical equation of what I want out of my games. Because yes, of course, I have a spreadsheet that calculates the optimal amount of fun, which is required for all players. You will have fun. I've calculated it.
Something that I am mulling around for a script. I already have another script for the next video, but the next one after that is the concept of reskinning, and kind of going back a little bit of ways to one of the other things that Seraphis started off with. Gosh, I can't remember the exact words you used, but it's like when you mentioned just there about, okay, I can show them this picture and now everybody's on the same page. You can expand that not just from the picture that you show them, but also where you're getting ideas. Like I steal like everything, like all the time for all my games, most of the time, because by the time it goes through me and then onto the table, it's already morphed a little bit, and then by the time the players are done interacting with it, it's morphed completely, and it's become its own thing at that point. So I'm not really concerned about like, well, isn't that boring? You're just borrowing other stuff. I mean, that's what pre-made modules are. I'm just doing it without the modules. But like running a whole campaign and the thing is that if the players follow along, like I'm playing with my friends, right? We've all seen the same movies, we've all played the same games. I could go onto this entire paragraph about a desert planet and blah, 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 blah. Or I could just say to everyone at the table, yeah, Tatooine. It's basically Tatooine. And they go, oh, cool. And then not only was that a lot more efficient, but they also have the same visual, the same idea in their head a little bit more. It's unifying. That we don't have one person picturing this and one person picturing that and one person picturing that. And then, because I've had moments where players will get confused. They'll say like, oh, I want to do this. And I'm like, that enemy isn't like, that isn't, it's not quite like that. And they're like, oh, I was picturing this, so pictures and stuff like that can be really unifying, or even properties that you're stealing can be unifying. Yeah,
absolutely. And I know I did my sci-fi game yesterday. They're on it's effectively Mad Max. They're on a planet where the nuclear bombs have gone off. A horrifying summer has now taken over the world permanently. They're fighting to have crops and all that. So I have a picture of basically a destroyed city in the middle of a desert, and that gives the players the picture that they need of this rundown, the society that's fighting to stay alive, that's trying to keep their identity, while the insanity of the rest of the world is something that's trying to basically chip away at them. And one of the players would then ask a very specific question, like, well, the church, is that as run down as everything else? And I could then say, no, that's the one thing that you find that is preserved above anything else, because that is the unifying factor of this community. And that immediately gave them like a picture of like everything's collapsing, but the thing that holds the community together is their religion, is their is their church. So that immediately gave them something that they could then go, right, the church is important. We're going to use that as a stepping stool to reach out to the community and to give them help. Again, Warhammer, but that's not the important thing. It was the visual that helped sort of build all of that up.
Yeah, when I said that I played one combat session and then immediately started writing, that's basically what that is.
Mm.
The original. That's the original. I just grabbed a graph paper. I was not really online in the same way, so I didn't have a lot of resources. I just grabbed graph paper and started going to town. I just grabbed, sheet paper, and I just started going to town, and that was all the DMing that I knew in the beginning. Probably better off that way, honestly. You can get overwhelmed with too many resources.
I mean, you've got Pinterest. We've got Pinterest at our fingertips. You can find so much from there alone. We've got DeviantArt where we can go and find so many references.
Yeah.
And then the effort that goes into categorizing it. It's an ongoing joke with my Saturday group is that I will have so many things open that I forget where the game is.
Yeah.
Like I will sit there and basically be like, okay, guys, just hold on. Where did I leave the Roll20 page? And they'll be like, yeah, no, we understand, because they know I've built like 60 different solar systems for them. They know I've got. I mean, I told one of the players that, oh, you're on a planet. I've got 15 different NPCs and characters you guys can interact with. They know that I put all this effort in to it. But it also means that I end up having to open so many things up where I sort of go, oh, are you having fun, Seraphis?
Yes.
This is an actual session map. This is
Nice.
a map from Mario Party that I printed, and I ran a D&D Mario Party where I've done that. It's a lot of fun getting wacky and wild with it sometimes. I used to do a lot of like what you were describing, Saxius. I used to do that, but then I quit. And I started having more fun being able to make things up a little more on the fly. I do not do anywhere near that level of writing anymore.
Yeah, but that's all fine and fair. I mean, at the end of the day, this is what I do because I find it to be fun. I like building a mountain of information with the understanding that maybe only like 10% from the top is going to be found out, and then the rest is just deep lore that they may never see. Let me take an example right now. The players from my Saturday group are not aware that there is an economical struggle that's happening in the undercurrent. There's a war going on that they're aware of. There's all sorts of conflict going on that they're aware of. They know that there's like bureaucratic things, but they don't know that there's like an undercurrent, like economical battle that's taking place between rival factions. Because they haven't done anything to like invest into that. But that's for my fun, because that's a part of the story progressing. And it's also because I've seen what happens when the players. I've had a historical group where one player would try to figure out everything that I was doing in the game, and it drove him up the wall because he realized that there were so many moving parts that he couldn't keep up with, and it detracted away from him having fun in the game. And I had to explain to him, listen, it's okay not to be in control of everything. A part of the game is that things are going to happen that is out of your control, but you get to react and make a decision for how. Go on.
No. I was just going to say that my DM has the attitude of, that's why we roll dice.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he would encounter that, because I used to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is actually language. So it's just a words list or like a breakdown of a words list. And then there's another page over here, and then the front page on the front. So I had where it came from, how it started, and then I had everything broken down into so I could combine words together to make larger concepts. But that was fun, but I think I've gotten to a point where that put so much weight on me. Like, it's fun to do all of that, but it also kind of weighs me down too a little bit. And so in more recent years, this is all the old stuff. So I've abandoned this, and now everything went from that to just like this is it. Like, this is the whole campaign in terms of just like touchstones and stuff. And then this is a session and just bullet points. And the rest of it is kind of in my head on the fly, doodled on the side as we go. And I found that there's a freedom in in letting a lot of that stuff go, and just because this is more like gaming for me, and that all that other stuff is like, okay, now I can write a novel. That's great. But that's not necessarily a game for players.
But Tori, you're right. You are very right, and that's the thing, though. And this is working for you. You're having fun with it. Okay, I need to shine some light onto this because it's a really good point you're bringing out. This is working for you. This is making the game fun for you. You as the game master, as the dungeon master, you are having fun, and this is making you engage in your own game. This is the most important part of the position that you're in. Now, what I'm talking about, as you can probably tell, makes me overly excited. You can tell I am highly enthusiastic by it. What you have described, you've come up with the same form of energy that I've just had, because it's like, this works. This is amazing. I've got freedom. I've got these points. I know where we're heading, but I've got the flexibility of like doing this and this. And I can just do a random roll, and then now there's a random encounter. This is the sort of trick that takes like you can tell someone this information, but a DM is going to need some years to figure out how that works for them.
I think I see what you're saying there, and the fact that it's going to be individualistic. It's your version of this is for you, and my version of this is for me. And
absolutely. And that's again, it's a super good point you're bringing out. Like, this is working for you. It works really well for you. And that's great. People can come in, they can look at what you've done here and go, I really like that. Let me try that. They find it. Okay, this is working really well. But what if I include things like this? So I'll have the bullet points, but then I've got like a picture here that will then be like, can turn around and be like, quickly show like, oh, this is the person. Or like, as you've got like the bullet points on one side, and then the other side, there'll be the pictures that they can quickly do a flip around. Without showing their notes. So they've got everything right there at the fingerprints. Again, brilliant stuff. This takes years for people to realize this is okay for the people to sit down and do. And it's why, like, when you go and ask on YouTube, how do I DM? It's like, well, what do you want out of it?
And also, I think it's a whittling process.
Yeah,
it's not like you have to fail it all the other ways to find this way.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily a failing of other ways. It's let's try multiple approaches and take the bits that I like and throw away the bits that I don't. I mean, like for me, for example, I've established that, when I do a full-on campaign, I do it one specific way. But when I do a one-shot, I literally, I show up with dice, a blank sheet of paper, and a Sharpie. That's it. I don't even show up with books. I very much take your approach in that at that point, I don't need a book. I don't need rules, because one shots are, in my view, are specifically meant to be crazy, over the top, powerful, and I don't need a set of rule books for a one shot. I would just do whatever happens. And so, I mean, from that respect, I do kind of take a page out of your playbook in that, I don't need books for stuff like that. So yeah, it's different people are certainly going to be able to approach it in different ways, and what works for one may not work for another. But I think the best approach for me personally is taking and absorbing what other DMs do and incorporating it into my overall style.
Yeah, you assemble your own sandwich, as it were, or it's a whittling process where you take a chunk of wood and you're like, okay, cut that, here, and then you make a sculpture of it by the time it's all over.
Yeah.
I also point out that it's not really a failure if you don't know about something first. Like, learning something,
that's a good point,
isn't like that you never thought of before, that you didn't know about.
You don't know what you don't know, basically.
Yeah. And then, like, even if you then try that out and it doesn't fully work for you, well, it didn't fully work for you, but there was a part that did, that you can then bring into your style and then grow off of.
Since you're mentioning that, I had an idea. I don't know that this one's really going to fall through, but I had an idea for a video called something about the, oh crap, I had a good name for it too. The DM makes this, or the system makes the DM, or something like that. And the whole point of the video was that the system and the DM should work in combo. You shouldn't have one fighting to run the other, or the other, you need to find one that's like the combo. Like, I like DC-20, but thus far I've fallen way more in love with Daggerheart, because I feel like what Daggerheart does is lets me be me. Now, if I put Daggerheart in front of Game Masters and he's struggle busing with it, that's going to be kind of miserable experience all around. But much like our GM styles differ from person to person to person, the system might differ from person to person to person. So, like, I can run a Daggerheart game and it'd be fantastic, and he can run a Daggerheart game and it might not be fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to lump that the system, I feel, kind of goes with that.
Yeah. So, okay, to that extent, with Daggerheart, are you seeing, or even jump back to when you were playing DC-20? Were you seeing that you were incorporating anything from the days when you played D&D in DC-20? Likewise, with your exploration of Daggerheart, are you seeing that you've taken any of the elements from D&D and DC-20 into Daggerheart?
I already know the answer to this. Yes.
I want to say no, but it's because the things that I do are not in any of them. Like, the things that I do that I brought over were not 5e to bring over to Daggerheart. It was just me.
Yeah, but were they lessons learnt through those systems, though?
I would say they're lessons learned from years of DMing. Whatever system it would have been, there would have been, like, the lessons.
Yeah,
learned
that's
like
what I mean. Yeah. Not necessarily mechanic wise, but yeah, lessons.
Well, the lessons come from just doing it for years. I don't think that is system dependent. Like, I don't think it matters that I did 3.5 and then 5e and then DC-20. At the end of the day, I still learned that, min-maxers are maybe not the type of, I'm not the DM for them. Like, that doesn't, I'm not a fan of crunch. I guess I did learn I'm not a fan of crunch, but that's a little bit ironic in its own sense, because I'm not a player. Like, the crunch doesn't matter to me. I have the power to just make stuff up as I go, as long as I don't break things too bad. The crunch doesn't affect me, and yet I'm still resistant to a system that has excessive amounts of crunch. And I'm not a player. Riddle me that. I don't understand that.
Okay, so the last, because we've basically covered everything that I was going to bring up topic-wise. Cool, thanks for that. So the only other thing I wanted to bring up with everyone kind of needs a little background knowledge first. Has everyone here played Cyberpunk 2077?
Nope.
Fuck.
I'm familiar with it, though.
I've seen a screenshot here or there.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's kind of a bit of.
Okay, we'll say yes.
All right. Fuck it. I'll wait for when goes back and bring this conversation up, because it's not going to work. It really is not going to work, because. Okay. I'll try my best not to have the point, the specifics of the game that I want to bring up in it, and just try to yes, I can see you getting closer to the camera. And try to bring up what the basics of the question actually is. So with your characters, with the player characters. My brain is not working. With the player characters in your groups, right? When you think about them coming to the end of the like a series of adventures or the campaign or whatever. How do I put this? Well, to use the cyberpunk terminology, is it better for them to burn out or fade away?
Well, that's Queen. When I take the approach of a one shot, it is always best for them to burn out and blow up. When it is a campaign, I prefer the fade away approach. If that makes sense.
I don't think I. Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
I say I don't think I can really add to that because I don't have finished campaigns and I've only ever got one shot that's actually a one shot. And that was like we didn't even finish the one shot, but I just am not going to end up running again. So because that was the Franken system. So yeah, I don't know.
Franken system, I like that.
I took DC-20 and Daggerheart and combined them.
Yeah.
So apparently we've got some people who are in chat who have played Cyberpunk. So I'll touch on this briefly.
2,000 plus hours. Wow.
I'm steadily getting there in my GOG playthrough. So basically there's a point in it where you kind of learn the history of Johnny Silverhand, right? He's a character in the universe, etc. And he kind of has a big explosive demise. But by the time of Cyberpunk 2077, everything he did more or less essentially didn't matter. Like, you know, for someone who thought he was of the mindset of, you know, burning out, it took less than 20 years to not be remembered again.
Kind of like Freddy Krueger.
Kind of, yeah. And so it kind of got me thinking about, like...
Whoa, you're thinking. Sorry.
So it got me thinking about how like how these things kind of come into our own worlds. Like Game Masters, your world is basically one it's the same world. It's just, you know, cycling through different players that come in.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if you were to think back of your world and its quote unquote history,
mm-hmm.
like that first group when you started at the school, university, whatever it was, like, has that left an impact on the world, or has that kind of faded away?
No, it's definitely left an impact. I mean, even things like when I first started creating the world, I mean, this would have been mid-90s, and there were events that took place that the characters, you know, did that, you know, where they went and slayed a blue dragon that was up in the mountains, and that had a regional impact for that area. You know, the next time I sat down with a completely different group, I didn't go back in time and have them replay that same event. That event, it happened. You know, they may not be privy to it, but it happened. And so the fallout of that dragon being gone in that region, the new group of players felt that. That was a little difficult for me to explain to them, that, hey, previously, and I didn't actually, I don't think I ever did. It was just, this is just what it was. It's kind of like a kid today born into the world. If they choose to go through high school and grade school and take history lessons, well, I guess they don't choose to, but should they do that, they're going to learn about World War I, World War II. Those are events that happened, but didn't directly impact them in that moment. So I kind of take that same approach, is there are still historical things that took place in my world, but they're just there for newcomers. If they want to learn about it, that opportunity crops up from time to time. But for the most part, it's just history of that environment.
Okay, so so in that context, now if I'm understanding better, because like I had my first campaign ever, the one with the girls, which we the group kind of fell apart, so we met one last time, and I sort of just like bull rushed them through a bit of a kind of boss fight, and I'm like, yay, you did this, you saved the day. Like, at least we can call this campaign closed, because we all kind of felt it. But that event informed the rest of the world building. It was like when they played in that world, it's like when they played it was the world. Now it's just the region. And that it, basically what happened is they were I did it where there's a magical barrier cutting off all the planes. So they were on this isolated place that had no contact with any other worlds, other planes, anything like that. And the end of the campaign was they broke that barrier and reattached that realm to the rest of the realm. Well, now expand out. Now there's multiple realms instead of just the one. So that had an historical impact in that way.
Yeah. Oh, so your players fucked up the world. Because previously demons couldn't come into the world, and now they've broken the barrier because of this great forbiddance that they broke down, and now the world's just going to be fucked by like elemental creatures and demons. And
it was already, the fact that the barrier was up when it shouldn't have been was it was messing with the world. They helped bring the world back into balance because it was out of balance. Not only that, but this is actually the middle of the timeline. So after doing that, now we have all of the realms that my current players play in, which Aegis, who's in the chat, is actually one of said players, and Grumpy's been a player for me too, and technically in the same world and same universe, but different groups. But then also there was a prehistory that was added to that. So the campaign they were in ended up informing the rest of the world, but timeline-wise, it's actually kind of a little bit in the middle, because the way that I spoke, what I decided to do was, what's the one, the Forgotten Realms, the unknown, forgotten, or the Forgotten Realms equivalent of the Cthulhu plane, the whatever that plane is.
Oh, the Outer Realms.
Or like something like that. It's where all of the Cthulian stuff sits in the Forgotten Realms lore.
Like the far realms.
The far realms, yes, thank you. Yeah. So the way that I did it is the far realms actually successfully managed to invade and attempt to conquer the material and elemental planes like they want to. And all of the gods and Ao all bound together, and they cancel each other out. So now there's no more far realms, but they broke the world, like physically broke it. Like the way I have it is I have realms, they're literally floating in space, and you have to sail on an astral sea back and forth between the realms. So kind of Treasure Planet style almost. And they're just like literally like floating islands. Like you can walk up to the edge of it and see out into space. And so it broke the world. All the gods are gone. You have powers, so clerics and whatnot can say like, oh, praise to the light, or praise be to shadow, or, you have powers, but they don't have names. They're not deities. They're all gone. And the far realms are also gone. So I took that beginning and said that, okay, these gals started on this realm that was closed off from the rest of that. And then now it's gone. So they ended up in the middle of the timeline. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Can I just briefly ask what the question was?
It was about
Yeah,
it was from Cyberpunk 2077, kind of discussing, well, trying my best not to go into much detail, but basically, as the GM with your player characters, your players' characters, is it? Do you feel it's better for them to kind of, burn out or fade away?
Oh, so when we get to like the retirement age,
when you get to the end of the series of adventures or the campaign or whatever it is.
Really, my experience has been like, what's the group like? I've got some groups where it's like, hey, we would like to, become a part of the legends of whatever, because at some point I had like intermingling stories that would then build up. I don't do that anymore. Like once I'm done with the campaign, that's it. It's gone. So there's not really a point in doing the whole fade away. The game's over. That's kind of the hard line. But for some players, it's important for them to feel that their characters, move on to something else or they proceed on. It's like, fine, we'll have a brief discussion about it. It's not going to mean much to me, but it means something to you. So I'm not going to deny you that. So there's not many campaigns I've had that actually comes to a satisfying end. It's normally just been, oh, the group's dissolved. Oh, we now have internal party conflict. Oh, would you look at that? I've been burned out. Like,
and I'd be remiss too if there's I think a third way that it all ends, and that's they all went in to fight the dragon and died.
Yep.
There was no blaze of glory. There was no fade away. It just they made a very stupid decision and died.
I miss having players where I miss having player groups where I could say that I'm experiencing that. I've just bullied my players into becoming competent to the point where they go, oh shit, maybe it's not fun having my character die every session and a half. Yeah. I think that was the highest kill rate I achieved at one point, killing a character every 1.5 session. There would be someone dying. It got to the point where, like, if everyone here is familiar with the movies or like a mini-series called The Gamers, where you've got one of them always playing the bard. So he shows up with like a binder of just pure bards. Like every time they die, he just flips out another one. It's like, I can do this all day. Because he's been abusing his staff to just sit and make continuous characters for him to use. I got a player. I had a player that was like that. And he just sat there and went, I can do this all day, Oscar. I went, this isn't terrifying me. This is just fueling my need for blood. You're setting the standard very high. Which is, it was funny, and some of the other players went, oh Jesus, it's another person. We can't publicize our success rates for anyone. We can't let the guilds know how this turns out. We're developing a reputation of picking up the local wannabe hero, leaving, and then they never return.
I mean, I've got one guy, he would play, and I mean, he was usually reckless. He went in with total reckless abandon, and the character would die, and he'd just scratch out the character's name and put Bob the second. Mm-hmm. Bob the second would die. Scratch out the second. Bob the third. It was always like a descendant. Like this was grandpa, this was great grandpa, or great grandpa, grandpa, dad, son, and so forth. Okay.
I think I've only had one character death.
No.
We need to change that.
Yeah.
Do we? Is there anything actually wrong with that, or is that just a preconceived notion that people have?
No. This is because I'm a sadistic person that likes torturing my players and doing that. Like it's just me being me, Tori. It's not that there's anything wrong with it.
All right, fair.
Your characters are happy and living wonderful lives. Which, funny, that segues into one of my current players who actually, when he played D&D with me, he sat there and went, Oscar, this is the most happiest character I've ever had. He's just an alcoholic. He's got both of his parents. He's got friends and families that cares for him. He has a job that he genuinely enjoys. He lives out in my ideal world. Why do you do this to me, Oscar? Torturing him isn't the thing that gets you joy. You know that I am tortured as a person because I look at my character. I know he has a better life than I will ever get. I'm like, yes,
he has no justifiable background.
Exactly. It's like he just showed up here, decided to live here as a bum, and he's happy. It's like I will never achieve that.
I want that for myself, damn it.
Yeah, I want to live out in the woods and just have a cellar filled with booze and alcohol, and to make it so much worse, because I know that this player also likes Warhammer, I then introduced a snake oil salesman that has these like tin figurines that you have to then buy paint for, and it was like, where's my gold? Where is my gold? Hey, listen. That's not the worst thing I did. I also introduced coffee into my world, and one of the players from Mexico, who is a coffee addict, just went, "I am getting this, Oscar. We are having coffee plantations now. I will control the market for this because this is the most important thing." Just these weird things that I just sort of like pop in, and the players just went, "No, Oscar, you put this as a joke. This is now serious. We must now."
Yeah. I've experienced that many times. Introducing something that was supposed to be a farce, and it's becoming it quickly became a cemented part of lore. Yeah.
I don't know if I can think of that. That what he describes with the coffee makes me think of like the Spiffing Brit Rimworld tea plantation.
I am so glad that you also watched the Spiffing Brit.
I do like him. I will just sometimes go into moods and just binge his videos and just let them play in the background.
Yeah.
Him, Regis, I think his name is Regis, and a bunch of the other ones. Like, just where I know it's just considered to be brain rot, but sometimes I just need something where it is hyperactive, high, loud noises, lots of flashy things, and me sitting there going like, "That's horrible, but it's funny as hell."
Oh, dude, the Rimworld ones are just the best.
Yeah. Seraphis, stop laughing. We all know you've got terrible ideas running through your head right now.
No, I was just remembering Spiffing Brit's what was that? Was it City Skylines 2? Where like he basically built like a never ending road map around the city and or train rail or something. And like it just had this continual going. And due to the way it was done, like he basically could make living there free and just tax everyone on the
on the roads. Yeah.
On the roads.
I think what makes it so entertaining is because I mean he's technically falling outside the mechanics of the game, but he brings your attention to like the roleplay element of it. Like he doesn't just say like, "Oh, I'm gonna influence this and that stat in this particular game." He goes, "This here is Bob, and what Bob's gonna do is now just imagine what that would look like." You know, it brings it back down.
Tori, if it's not Rianu Keeves, it's not worth talking about.
Yes. I love how he did the Oblivion remaster with that. Like the coming back. That was great.
I would also recommend Reggie on YouTube because he does like some stupid challenges like every like 24 hours in in Fallout 4. He will double the amount of roaches that now spawns and will seek him out to kill him. So he now has to like quickly power level up to level 35 so he can find the Roach King and kill the Roach King. And it's about him like basically breaking the system to like maximize him leveling up and realizing it's too slow. He needs to be more efficient. He needs to create. And then I will not continue from. Well, no, it's Seraphis. It's Seraphis' channel. I'm sure I can. Then it's not like you're going to be monetizing anything.
Nah. Can't.
No, he needs to create a kill camp to ensure that all the roaches are destroyed, and it's just funny because it just goes into like very bleak humor. It's like, oh, that's dark, that's very dark, but it's funny.
Dude, bleak humor is where I live, man.
Darker
the better.
my Sunday group, which I'm looking forward to for tonight. Again, they're going into the Underdark, so they can pop up on the other side of a mountain, and then we can do like Pathfinder Kingdom, Kingmaker sort of thing. They started out the entire game being, Oscar, you misunderstand. We're not the good guys here. We have a checklist made from Geneva, and
Oh, so you're Canadians.
we are big. Well, actually, yeah, I do have Canadian players, so yes, it is actually Canadians. I have a Polish person. Again, war crimes. British, quite a few Brits. So again, it's not like that really applies. And then me, the Dane. If you've ever wanted to look into like what we have done to the rest of Scandinavia, it's horrifying. It's just hilarious. Like our little corner, there's just been like all these mega powers, and then there's the Chihuahua little Dane going, "I gotta fucking take you on." But I'm Sweden. I take on Russia. I have beaten the snot out of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. We have done all of these great things. I gotta fuck you up. What? It's like, well, how? Why do you think so? Because I have a piece of paper from Napoleon that says I can. It's like, the fuck? And as they looked at, they just come in, bam. History's funny. I love telling this part. Again, there's a little corner of the world where it's just like, how did you ever get away with this? Why weren't you destroyed? Oh no, we were destroyed several times over. We just kept on coming back. We just didn't understand that the bell had been wrong. People had left the stadium. The other guy is trying to leave the boxing match, and we're just dragging them back in. It's like, we're not fucking done yet.
The little nation that could.
Yeah. Sorry, getting a bit sidetracked there.
But yeah, I did that earlier, so.
No, that's fair enough. But yeah, it's I don't know where I was taking this. My Sunday group, they're bonkers. They tie group for that. I've basically gone, I'm not going to do my usual prep work. I am just going to turn around, put up my Sanithar's guide to everything. I'm just going to roll the random events, and that's the session for that day, and off we go. Surprisingly, it's worked really well, and the players, having found a magical circle that can clearly teleport you somewhere, everyone failed their Arcana rolls. They have no idea where it's leading. They tried to throw stones and rocks onto the platform to see if that would activate it. Of course, it's not going to activate it. I'm not retarded. So what do they do instead? I have one of the players go, Oscar, we all know where this is going, and just moves his token on top of it. Just do your fucking work. I'm like, that's fine. Click, drag, you're now on the other side of the map, surrounded by these things, and I won't describe them. And you just hear the other player going, oh boy, oh shit, I'm fucked. And then the rest of the group goes, well, we can hear him screaming for help, so we're just all going to step on now. And I go, sure, just show me where you step. The moment they do that, I may go, oh yeah, by the way, you've stepped on this tile, which means you land on that tile, which means you're now teleporting into each other, and now we're going to have to roll some damage. And the player's going, oh, wait, I didn't even think about that.
Did they not think to do the cow first? You always bring a cow along so you can shove it onto random teleporters first.
Listen, I have stopped trying to give out ideas to this group. This group came across a Revenant. I took the Revenant character and basically said, right, he's now cursed by his god because he was a coward and he didn't live up to the ways of the dwarf. So he has to be here to now be a person of good deeds and do good deeds before he's allowed back. They came across him. They broke down his door. He turned around and went like, who the fuck are you? Why are you breaking into my house? They didn't consider like, wait, we've not gone into combat. Well, we are in combat initiative, but we just think that means fighting. So we're now going to use Whip of Thorns to lasso this guy, drag him towards us, hog tie him, gag him, bully him, and mug him all in one turn, cast web down the corridor of all of his people, and then just go fireball. I sat there and went, I need to remind you guys, you are supposed to be the heroes of this. And there was a moment of like them like having to connect the wires and go, oh yeah. But wait, it gets better. Because I decided to present them with a simple puzzle. So there was a hallway that leads somewhere. Now, normally you've got like the hidden thing that you click to, hide and close the hidden door right next to it, right? I decided to put that, about 15 feet away from it just to confuse them. And it did exactly that. The thief went up to the hidden door and he would inspect every nook and cranny. He couldn't find it. He would roll fantastic. I told him, you can't find it. And he didn't understand why. Eventually they managed to get it open. They don't know how, but they did. And they all, like, 2 of them ran in. So they're like, we want to see what's in there. It's a dead end. The secret door closes again. And again, I have misplaced the activation trigger for the secret door. Here's the part where it gets fun. There are 2 triggers inside the hidden room. If you roll a DC 13, you find the trigger that activates the trap and suffocates you. If you roll a DC 18, you find the one that opens the door. But the triggers are not next to the door, which means that they would have to run down, click on something, run back up and see if it opened the door, run back down, and I would keep on going. Did you tell me that you remembered where it was? No. So I would then make them do another roll. They would forget to say that I remember where I clicked, and then they would run back up, and they would get stuck, and I would keep on increasing the DC for them resisting the poisons of suffocating by 2 points every turn. The cleric kept on casting the guidance on himself, and he kept on rolling below 10. Or he kept on clicking the activation for the poison, not knowing it was the activation for the poison. It was great. We spent 30 to 45 minutes on that one trap.
I mean, I'd love to say something negative to that, but I love everything about it.
Yeah.
And
just like you're so used to like the doorknobs being right at the door. Now imagine you move the doorknobs away from it and put them somewhere else. The player's like, what is this? What is this sorcery? Why is there a doorknob here? And they wriggle around, they hear things moving around. They're like, oh, what are we done now? Panic sets in and they're just like all over the place. And because I use Roll20, I can literally put a thing that prevents them from leaving the area. Their tokens are now stuck. Which means that some of them genuinely roleplay and like move their tokens around like they're bouncing around the wall trying to get out. It's fucking hysterical.
oh, jeez.
See, and I don't have anything like that in my games. I feel like I'm not that clever.
No, but this
sociopathic.
Yeah. Listen,
Well, not...
you're a kind person. I look at my players and go, meat. You must be beaten and put through the machine and come out as minced meat, and I shall now, beat down more, pulverize, put into the fryer, and then once you are done, I shall stir you all together and throw you into the trash. Why? Because that is what you are. Nothing but expendable numbers for me to have fun with. It's like
blood for the blood god.
Exactly. Or, as my recent obsession is, I have no mouth and I must scream. Just, I'm the evil AM machine. You are just here to suffer, and you know it. The players know it. But the thing is, they have fun trying to outsmart me. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, I have a player who is no longer in any of the active groups, who I think that's the kind of DM he secretly wants. I don't think he would like directly say it that way, but I think that's what he really wants.
Yeah, playing with Saxius it swiftly becomes Saw, the role-playing game.
Yeah. But the thing, I'm gonna be, you know what you're getting into. I don't tell you. It's just like, hey, we're gonna be playing a game.
Would you like to play a game?
You'd like to play?
Well, you're already at my table. You know the answer is yes. Well, so I do things like that, or what are other things I've done? Sometimes I just mess with my players because they'll be like, I cast detect magic. Oh, this item is magical. Oh, it's a ring. Fantastic. Put it on. Well, you didn't identify that it was cursed. Just catch them out.
See, the problem my artificer is having in the 3.5 game is that he can identify the item, but basically as soon as he identifies that the item is like cursed or something, the DM makes me roll a will save. And because I am hideously underpowered, I am failing basically all my will saves. So that's why I got thrice possessed 2 sessions ago.
So you have no impulse control. You give into your inner thoughts. What's called the intrusive thoughts win over the moments. You've got no filter, so it's just like the moment of like, that thing's dangerous if I wield it, but it'll be more dangerous if someone else wields it, which means if I wield it, it's actually good. It's just you just go to these immediate conclusions, like, well, there you go. I'm now having it. It's gonna be with me. What else? Oh yeah, and my players, again, going back to me using maps, the moment they realize that you can push someone off something, you could see the obsessiveness immediately happening as they tackle enemies. It's like, we don't need to damage them. We just want to do this because it's funny. It's funny that we're gonna kick them down the stairs. It's funny we're gonna drag them over towards the balcony and throw them down 50 feet and look at them. Or like with the Thorn of Whips or Whip Thorns, whatever the spell's called, lasso someone and then hog tie them.
We have 2 new cats.
Meow.
Yeah. We've had them for like 2 weeks or something like that. They're still kind of newish.
Are they settling in?
Yeah, the one got taken to pet emergency. He had pneumonia and significant scar tissue in his lungs. He's doing much better now on the whole. He's sleeping behind me.
That's good.
The other one, who was in hiding for 2 days straight, is now out and about. And now nuzzling. I'm trying to get her to jump up on the chair, and she keeps looking at me like she's going to jump up on the chair, and then she doesn't jump. Like, she just sits there and does that thing.
Yeah.
But
looks up, waggling a little bit. I'm getting ready. No, I'm not going to do that.
No, I'm not going to do that. See, and then I moved my project. And she was right next to me, and then I moved my project, and then now, go figure. Okay, actually.
Kitty.
Hello. And then the other one. As cat do. As cat do. Yeah. They're doing good, though.
That's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've derailed the thing.
That's what we do here, though, right? That's the brand?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. That's the Talking Drek brand.
Oh, mind you, sorry, I'm going to go off on another tangent.
By all means.
My 2nd edition game, it reached the point where the players, the wizards, sat down and conspired together because they're like, once we reach this level, we need to get these spells, and because of how we're allowed to like select spells and roll to see if we learn them, we have a high chance of doing that. We need a wall of iron. We're surrounded by the woods, so we've got wood, and then we just need fabricate, and we can break the world economy. I was just sitting there like, oh, you motherfucker. You're just gonna flood the market with cheap Timo weapons. I was like, yes, Oscar, that's exactly what we're gonna do. And I sat there and went, I have a church of taxes. I'm like, we don't care. You're going to have to care because they will come after you. And I went, no, Oscar, listen. We also need to do research into like how we can take the boat that this player owns and make it fly, because once we get into a certain altitude, we're now an independent state. And I sat there and went, oh, you jeez, motherfucker. You're making the, what is it called? Heroes of Might and Magic 5 Academy faction, where it's just a floating school high enough to be considered its own independent tax haven, where you can, and I am not making this up, where you can research how to create cat girls, because again, one of the players, once he came across a were-tiger, just went, I want a cat girlfriend. I need a cat girlfriend. This must be a thing now, Oscar. I went, fucking hell, you weirdos.
No, I'd be like, listen, we're here to play a game. I'm not here to entertain your sexual fantasy.
It was a joke that they made, but it then continued. Didn't go into that direction, thankfully. But it's now just become one of those like group jokes of like, well, of course we need this. But it was the amount of thinking that they went into, like, how high do we need to get into tax, into a different tax bracket, or be considered to be a sovereign nation, that they actually went into it. It was like, it's terrifying once the players put in their thought into it.
Oh. So that was not my cat. Oh, is that just a soundboard?
Oh, y'all can hear that? No, that's my cat.
Yeah.
He's just your cat's going, slave, entertain me.
Pretty much. He's at the door, and I can see his face looking in. He's looking at the crack of the door like this, and he's reaching in.
Aww.
You will open the door. I am pawing at you.
He thinks I'm going to.
Well, let me ask the honest question. Are you eventually going to get up and open the door for them?
Yeah.
And there you go. They know what they're doing. There we go. Just speeding up the process.
I think ours are too skittish and new. They haven't gotten into demanding things yet, but they like to... Yeah, they like to get the zoomies at all hours of the night. So it's just all night long. Like, I was asleep from like 8 to midnight, and then I went back to sleep at like 2, and then woke up again at 5 for this. So it's like, yeah, all hours of the night they going off.
That's a very nice cat, Brian.
He's vocal.
Aww. Aww.
Game Masters, I also enjoy your pussy.
Well, our viewership is bound to go up.
It's bound to. Now he's on camera, so he's going to be quiet.
I think he's being quiet.
Oh yeah, no, he's letting us know. He's protesting pretty good.
And now he wants out, so, you know.
You've given me too much attention. You know this, Brian. Your quota, no. You're overperforming. I shall have this in your reviews. You should be docked points.
Yeah. No, I've been rearranging the my recording area, and now I have this big, massive, empty space right here, and he's taken up residency in the floor. So,
you know what I'm hearing, Brian? I am hearing the need for you to get like one of those like cat castles, or trees, whatever they are, so that they can climb up and like be there. Because it sounds like not only have they taken it, they've now gone, this is my area, but it is barren. Slave, you know what you must do.
Yeah.
Are there any more topics for us to cover? Or are we now in the point of where it's...
I feel like...
Goes?
Nope, that was it.
That was it, okay.
Yeah,
plus,
I mean...
It was it plus.
There was technically like 6 topics I wanted to bring up from Tori's stream, but I only ended up bringing up 2 because you guys covered the other 4 during various ramblings. So you would have just been repeating yourselves if I like asked you guys, you know.
We're naturals. We're naturals at this.
You know, what tips and tricks have you learned, or, you know, what general GM chat would be helpful for people listening in? And we really fucking covered all of that. So, yeah.
Robert, to be perfectly honest, I don't think I can. I've been out of the country for so long. I'm actually not allowed to vote, so I can't restore the Kalmar Union. But if you pay attention to the King of Denmark, you will hear some very restorative speeches. Again, was it Yes, it was this New Year just gone. The King of Denmark, because he's now stepped up and become the King of Denmark after our Queen stepped down. He had to do his first speech to the nation, and he's kept the tradition of his mom, which is to do them live. Scripted, sure, but like he does them live, folds and everything. Where people picked up he's saying some feisty things as a king. He's saying big words, like we shall ensure that the entire kingdom is under the Danish rule. Basically going, we're not giving away Greenland. We're not giving away the Faroe Islands. They are Danish, by all accounts. And to emphasize this thing, he then goes out and makes a decision to change the coat of arms of Denmark.
Just all on his own?
Well, he puts it forward. It's approved by the Danish parliament. Again, he doesn't actually hold the power to do a lot, but he can put forward motions because, again, he is the king. So he put forward the motion to change the coat of arms, which has remained unchanged for things like, I want to say 300 years. And basically, it's just the coat of arms is just us dabbing on the rest of the Scandinavian countries going, we used to own you. Fuck you. To now be including the symbol of Greenland and the symbol of the Faroe Islands to be a part of this is Denmark. These are our colonial sightings as well. They belong to us, to basically reaffirm sovereignty, so to speak, and recognizing the independence and the membership of each of these states within Denmark. It was just funny stuff. Yes, Robert. I also like the Danish king because he had his wild times when he was young, and now he's mellowed out, and he's I think he's ready to be a king. Plus, he promotes a lot of what's it called? He very much promotes be healthy, eat well, go find the time in your day just to do a little bit of exercise, just 30 minutes, go for a run, go for a walk, just do something to stay healthy. He's very much promotes that, and I like it. I think it's a positive image to have. Which does also inspire me to actually have somewhat decent and competent leaders in my game. Which, it's nice to come across. And then there are other times where I go, no, the guy he's in charge is an utter moron. He has no idea what he's doing. All the other people are just propping him up because, who wants to be in the spotlight and be the one taking all the blame when things go wrong?
We had a real world version of that. Unfortunately, due to the way our parliament system works, only the parliament can bring him up on criminal charges, and the parliament decided not to bring him up on criminal charges.
So, in Denmark, again, this is redundant. I'm just bringing this up because I think it's funny. We also had one of those situations where an actor went, fuck it. No one in Parliament seems to know what they're doing. I might as well just have a go at it. It'll be funny. But he does it for a joke.
Oh, you had your own Zelensky, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. He didn't become a prime minister, but he became just a member of Parliament. And what's it called? When he was being brought up, it's what do you promise to people? I promise people that you're going to have a bigger present underneath your Christmas tree. I promise you the wind will always be at your back when you use the cycling lanes.
All right, I'm gonna
go on.
I'm gonna go ahead and bounce because up and ready for breakfast. So,
Nice.
yeah. Woohoo! See you guys later. Bye.
See ya, Tori.
See ya.
So yeah, I just promises where it's just straight up like I can't do this, but I do it anyway. He would go into what's it called, debates, and just be like, listen, all these people here have got educations and what have you. Have they ever actually achieved anything? Do you think I'm going to be any worse than what they are? Yeah, you need a cat castle for that area, or a cat tree.
Yeah. Just live stream the cat area.
Yeah, I mean you'd make money that way. That's what people should tune in for.
Maybe I should open an OnlyFans account for him.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so he did that, and then when he actually then won the thing of like, oh, I'm actually a member of parliament. Well, I'm just gonna see if I can push it and actually take it serious to see if I can become the prime minister. Let's see if this actually works. Now he doesn't get that far, but he gets into parliament, so he's like, okay, cool.
Sounds like our presidential process.
Yeah.
Now, here's something sucks.
If I may just finish it.
Oh, yep.
At the end of this, what is customary is that when you become a member of parliament, you're given a budget, and then that budget has to be given out for you to say thank you to the people who voted for you. The guy basically said, right, I'm going to give the people what they want. He hired 3 hot dog vans to be at the center of the capital and give out free hot dogs for the entire day. And his thank you speech, he basically went, is the grass greener on the other side? No, it isn't. I don't know why you voted me in for this, but here I am. I am going to do things the way that I promised. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to do something. It may not be good. It may not even be achieving anything, but I will give you exactly what you voted for. Fucking baller. And he in interviews, he straight up said, I'm open for not necessarily bribery, but if you need me to really vote for something, fuck it. Just talk to me. We can work something out. He didn't hide it.
I can hook you up with more free hot dogs.
Exactly. I'm done.
It's just going to cost you.
Yeah. It was just funny. And yeah. Sorry, go on, Seraphis. It's just I wanted to share that because it's so ridiculous, and it was just yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely love it. Glad I heard the rest of that. I did want to know, because I'm not as familiar with Danish politics and the political system and stuff as other countries like the US, Britain, Japan. With your parliamentary system, do you need to be a member of parliament before becoming prime minister?
Yes.
Okay.
So you do need to be a member of that. It's not like where you could be a
It's not like that.
person. Yeah. You can't go in and basically be like, hey, I'm a Joe Schmo, I'm gonna run and become the prime minister. It's like you have to be a member of a party, you have to be a member of the parliament, and then from there you're then voted. Like from that, the people will then vote of like a majority of the people who are the ruling government. The people will then vote from within there, who is then leading them from in there. It's not like the UK where you vote for the people to control the parliament, and then they internally vote for who is then your prime minister. It's very much, you vote for who's in there to get the majority representation of the people, and then you vote for within the majority ruling who is then the person that's going to be voted in to be in charge.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way our parties internally work for the parliament is more like the British system, where once everyone's voted into parliament, it's those people who then get to say who the leader is.
Yeah.
I don't always like that.
No, like it is. Again, this is just my perspective. I can be wrong about the Danish politics. Again, I'm a bit limited in a lot of aspects. But yeah, it does at least make me appreciate that, what I've grown up for understanding of like what a government should be working like. And there is also in Denmark, there's a very strong sense of like the government's accountability towards the people. Why we've got, like in France, extraordinarily high standards for like what our way of life should be. So,
yes, Goths, it is, and I fucking hate it. Oh, except for the last election where, the USAID got cut, so Little Sister couldn't influence our elections, and overwhelmingly, one party got a lot more votes than everyone else.
if I may, again, we are on the topic of politics, but it's I try to keep it a bit lighthearted. So, Greenland has elections of their own. Happy days, they have the right for autonomy to rule themselves. All the parties in Greenland are very much, varieties of we would like independence. It's just, how quickly and how do they want to go about it. With the recent interest in the island by USA, the Danish Secret Service basically went, we're gonna smack down any form of interference for that to give them the free election that they're meant to be geared to have, including reaching out to all of the academia and tell them do not talk to the press, because there's influence attempts towards the what's called the election in Greenland, and we want them to have their right to express that in their rightful way. Funnily enough, we got the party in that is basically saying we want to leave Denmark, but we want to be able to like be sustainable and independent before we leave Denmark, which is something that the Danish government has said, hey, this is what we would like to do before we just cut you loose, Greenland, be able to maintain the standards for your own people. And ideally, we would like you to leave with preferable terms to us. So you could then say that Denmark has been trying to sway them to be pro-Denmark. I would not dismiss that. But yeah, I just find it funny. Well, there we are. They're back.
I'm going to have to end this up now because I've got a little one I need to put back to bed. So I hope everyone's enjoyed this.
Yeah, we've enjoyed this, but what it is. Talking Drek.
Yes, pretty much. And I don't know. Tell us where we can find you.
Brian, where can we find you?
There.
I'll be here next Sunday.
We can find Sax there. There he is.
Yeah, I go by the accounting DM Game Master. I don't know what the hell I'm calling myself these days. I don't really generate a whole lot. I haven't generated anything for a very long time. I would very much like to returning and have autistic moments of like, hey, this is really awesome. Someday I'll find the energy to do it. Till then, you can find me on Discord as Saxius. Send me a note. Just be prepared for me just having the same form of energy as I have here. And just hyperfixations.
And since the kids are going back to school soon, my content should pick up again too. So I've got a backlog of a lot of things I need to talk about. Okay, we can see you playing with your pussy, Game Masters. Very good. Robert Will, good.
He evidently enjoys it.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, I think I only said cunt once, so that's good. So, yeah.
I think that was the first time.